of the things that we often look for on quail habitat are good quail houses, what we call loafing coverts. And ideally that's a plum thicket or a lote bush, a little leaf sumac, something like that. But a lot of our country has nothing on it but regrowth mesquite. So I want to demonstrate a little technique to what we call half-cut mesquites. All it takes is a limb saw and about a minute to do it. So what I'm going to do is go through and cut the tops of those limbs. While I'm pushing down on them, I'm going to break the outer limb to make it look like a broken wagon wheel. I just push down on that limb. And I just work my way around the tree doing just that. You want to make sure you're dealing with smooth bark mesquite, something that's multiple stemmed and smooth bark. A good time of the year to be doing this is April or May, when the sap is running in the trees, when the limbs are good and supple. Our goal is not to kill the limbs, just break them over to where they grow in a downward fashion. And I'll normally leave 2 or 3 limbs intact in the middle of the tree to keep it growing upright as well. You can get one of these limb saws at the hardware store, the convenience store. It'll cost you about 10 bucks. And basically that's what we're trying to produce, something that's dense from above, open at ground level, so a quail can see its enemies. Here's an example of a tree that was half cut 3 years ago. You can see where the limbs were cut and how, for example, this particular limb died. It was cut too far through and it killed it. But here's a good example of what we're trying to achieve. You can see that the limb lived and it began to grow downward, so it grew down on the ground, but then it grew up at the edge. Kind of makes it look more like an umbrella, and that's a more desirable growth form for quail.